My lords, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to episode 10, now into double digits, of the Deluxe DLC Transport Fever 2 series in the American Southwest. I'll qualify the start of this video by just letting you all know that this is being recorded immediately after completion of recording of episode number 9. So from my perspective, this will not be available on YouTube for a couple of days, just due to the nature of the staggered releases for the videos. So any comments that may have been left in episode 9, I won't have a chance to read or action them at this point. So that doesn't mean any comments are being ignored, it's just the nature of my recording schedule. It often means I'm recording a couple of episodes back to back, so any changes due to comments and suggestions, it might just take a little while or a couple of episodes for them to take effect. So anyway, we're on the oil train heading back to Sioux Falls oil fields. This line is making us a decent bit of money, nothing too spectacular, but it's certainly holding its own, and it is profitable. And the aim for today's episode, as I mentioned in the end of episode number 9, is to try and at least get as far as having the steel being brought into the goods factory, and hopefully also having the goods then being shipped onwards into the city of Knoxville. So let's hop off this train. The date is paused from the end of episode 9, so we can restart that now. And I have, in between the recording sessions, done some terrain work along the length of this track, all the way through to the chemical plant. So a lot of the worst effects of the terrain from where we had all the cuttings and the elevated earthworks should have been blended out, and it should look a little smoother. So what do we need to do? We need to get the steel production up and running. We can get rid of that. And we are going to use this steel mill here. As I mentioned in episode 9, we do have the 2 supplies very nearby, and we'll just deliver these in by some trucks. So we'll start with the coal over here. And the first thing we're going to want to do is get a more direct road from the coal mine to the steel mill. So I'm thinking we'll just run run a road that comes down here and connects in somewhere on this stretch over here. And we'll use the medium-sized road for this, because later on, once we start getting higher speed vehicles and roads available to us, we want to make sure we get the best speeds possible. So a nice simple road connection here, just bring it in like that, that's okay. I'm also going to do at this point is this road here, I'm going to have it sweep out from the other end and connect back in down there. And before we start building the truck stations at the colliery, what we'll do is also bring this road and have a more direct connection as well. Oh, a tunnel? Do we want a tunnel? Yeah, why not? So, yep, give that a straighter connection, but we don't want a bridge there. There's no need for it. And will that work for me? Yeah, it will. Again, this will be taken care of in between episodes, just to get the worst of this gradient dealt with. So back up to the colliery then. So we want a pickup truck station here, and we only need the 1 platform. And I have in mind that our trucks, we are right-hand drive, of course. So if we were to have the station situated like this, what we can then do is configure it. We'll delete that bi-directional entrance there and have one ways in and out like this, so our trucks have to come in, stop, and then leave through the exit there. They can't just double back on themselves. And connect this in to the road network that we've just constructed, and it won't take long to do this, so I'll do it right now on camera. We just want to go ahead and just smooth out this, just to bring it all together a little bit neater, make it look a bit tidier and a bit more realistic. There we go. So let's just rename this. We don't need to pin it, we want to rename it, and we'll call it the Norfolk Colliery. Okay, so we're going to pick up there, head down here, all the way down here, and we'll have these guys come up here. We'll have them drop off, and I think what we'll do here, if we can get it to look nice, is something like that. And again, it won't take long to do this, so I'll do it now while I'm speaking, blend it all in. And we'll have two drop-off points here, one for the iron and one for the coal. And they'll come in from opposite directions. We want to make sure they leave by going the opposite way they came in to keep it tidy, so we'll put 4 waypoints, 2 on either side. And then we want a truck unload stop on this side of the road and an unload stop on the opposite side of the road. So naturally, what we want our coal delivery trucks to do is pick up from here. We want them to have a full load, and we want them to come over here. We want them to come this way in, drop off, and then head out that way. Let's just make sure they're on the right side of the street there. That's better. We'll colour that black for coal, and we'll call this the, well, it'll just be coal, and I think we're just sticking in and around Norfolk with the looks of it, so that's what we'll go for, coal Norfolk. Or maybe just Norfolk Colliery to Norfolk Steel Mill. Or Norfolk, we'll call it Norfolk Forge to save a bit of space. Okay, I know, you are doing the right thing there, okay. It just changed its mind temporarily for some bizarre reason. So now we can do something similar over here, and again we're right hand drive, so we'll put it on the right hand side of the road. And we'll do the same sort of setup that we've just done at the colliery, so we'll configure it, we'll get rid of the bi-directional entrance and swap it for one ways, like that. That way we force our vehicle's hands as to what route they're taking, without the need for using waypoints. And we'll connect it in like that and like that. And this will be the Wilmington Iron Mine. There we go. So again, new line from here. We're coming from the iron mine. We want a full load, which they should always be able to pick up without any delay. And we want you to come in this way, drop off this side, and then leave this way. And again, to make sure you're on the correct side of the street there at the drop-off point, and now you are. Brilliant. And we'll use this orange, I think, for this one. And this will be iron. And this is running from Wilmington Iron Mine to the Norfolk Forge. Wonderful. So we need a vehicle depot to get our vehicles purchased. So we'll put one on this bit of the track. Oh, sorry, on this bit of the road, just here. And then we'll buy ourselves. Can you handle both coal and iron? Yes, you can. So you're going to be you. And if we pick, say, 60, with a view to having 30 per line, that should work quite nicely. So, yep, buy for 1.9 million. And then I'll just go through now, select the first 30, assign them to one line, and the second 30, the remaining 30 will then go on to the other line. Okay, so that's our first 30 selected. These will be hauling the coal, so we'll colour them black. And then these remaining ones will be orange on the iron ore mine. And there we go. So they'll start filtering out, and we should now start seeing production at both truck stations. We saw it there at the iron mine and again at the colliery. Brilliant. So now what we want is a train line that picks up from the steel mill and drops off over here. So we'll work backwards, and we'll utilize this platform here, I think. So what we may as well do here, because we haven't done any passing loops or anything on this stretch of track yet, is we'll have these come together like so, and then just prior to the tunnel, this will all be single track at this point. As you can see, I haven't done the train at this area yet, so we'll have to do that a little bit later. And then hopefully we can get at least a minimum of 50 miles per hour at this point here and have a passing loop here. Might be a struggle, but we'll see what we can do. If we have to drop the speed a little bit, then we will do, but we don't really want to be going any lower than 40 at most. Right, that should hopefully allow us to fit in a passing loop. If we push the signals as far forward as we feasibly can, I think we're going to be okay with this one. Like that, they should be two direct, sorry, one way. So I'll just quickly change those. And we'll cross the bridge. How far do we want to share this track before we diverge and head up this way? I think if we break away at this point, that's the most natural place to do it. We could go this way and come in over the top of Wilmington, but I think for my money we're best off coming off here and following this little valley between these two mesas here, or this mesa and this hillside. So let's get ourselves, not that, let's get ourselves one of these. And what I want you to do here is maintain the same height, because that should be about 19 meters if I remember correctly. And a 72 mile per hour corner is pretty good, but we want it to be a bit tighter. Maybe down to 55. Yeah, 55 will do. And then do we want to tunnel through that bit there? Or do we want to come a bit sharper and come down here where we can keep it open? Well, let's have a look how fast we could get down here. Oh, look, we could do it at 75 miles per hour. So yes, we'll come this way instead, rather than going through this this hillside here. And then we can keep a bit straighter there. Now start curving, and we can keep 75 miles an hour, which is always pleasant. And we'll allow the track now to start to follow the terrain landscape like this. So it is dropping off 2.9%. If we get that to even lower, 2%, that's even better. Yeah, fantastic. I think at this point we'll head over here and decide where we want to put our pickup station. And I think somewhere along the top is probably the most logical place to situate this station. And we'll give it a direct connection to the industry. And we'll rename this to the Wilmington Forge. Again, we don't need to pin it, we need to rename it. There we go, Wilmington Forge it is. And what height are we at down here? 16 meters. I think we're about 19 over there, if I remember correctly. But we'll just allow the game to do as it will with our track height here, because we can always, we've got plenty of space here to make up any difference. And what do we have? Well, we've got the steam trucks, so we might end up in this episode replacing our cargo trucks with these steam trucks that we've now just unlocked. And which way do we want to go? Well, we want to skirt around Wilmington. We don't really want to plough straight through the centre, or do we? Just to be a bit radical. Could we do it? Do we want to do it? That's the question. I mean, we can do it. Do I like the idea of doing that? Do you know what? I think I'm okay with that. Because if we end up having a train station in Wilmington, we've got a ready-made line where we can branch off and have our station up here before joining back in. So do you know what? I think we'll go for it. We'll do that. Now, do we need to keep this river open up here? Maybe not, because if we do want to do some shipping from this industry here or Wilmington, we can just have our ports on this side and then just run everything down to the port side if we need to. So if this bridge doesn't keep the river open, it isn't the end of the world. Right, if it actually giving us a bridge in the first place would be wonderful. Doesn't want to give us a bridge here. Right, okay. What we might have to do then is if we just bring this back a fraction, because I think that is dropping off somewhat there. Let's go even further and go back to here. Let's have this crossover but maintain its current height. It's gonna impact the road, but that's fine. It's not my problem to deal with. And now it should generate a bridge for us, even though chances are it's not going to be a bridge we can sail underneath if we ever need to. But as I said, we can work around that. So, yep, that will work. A very low bridge, but a bridge is a bridge. And let's just have you come a little more that way with a view to then going relatively straight into the track there. Yep, that was fine. 75 miles per hour. Although we do have an unnecessary wiggle here. So what we'll do, we'll accept that. But where it wiggles. So say from here back to the maybe as far as the bridge, we'll just redraw it. Just get rid of that road temporarily, and it should come out a bit straighter. Yeah, that's better. Perfect. Now we'll just reconnect that road that we had to temporarily demolish. There we go. Okay, so at this point we should be able to start thinking about passing loops on this line. We're definitely going to want some passing loops down here because we do have we will have two services. We'll have the trains bringing in the plastics and of course the trains bringing in the steel. So what we'll do is just after this point here where our tracks join together, we'll go straight into an elongated passing loop, and hopefully we can do this at full speed. Yep, 75 miles per hour, and then we'll just double track this entire run as far as, well, maybe we'll come off just at this corner here before the track begins to straighten out, sort of like this. Then we can, oh no, that's 65. We want that to be a bit faster really. If we can get full speed, then obviously we want to get full speed. And is that 75? Yeah, that's better. That way, when our trains are capable of doing that sort of speed, we're not having any unnecessary slowdown. This bridge will remain single tracked. We have a small passing loop here, which might be a bit tight depending on the length of our trains, but that's fine. Although we could just double track these tunnels as well, and I think that's probably the best option. So let's do that. Let's just double track this entire run and have a double track tunnel. That all looks fine. Okay. So what we need then is a diamond of sorts down here. So let's go ahead and get our diamond. Let's put it in after this tunnel here. And if we can get 50 miles an hour minimum, and I'm looking at you just there, and I'm going to be happy. Perfect. There we go. So then both platforms are accessible. And what we also have, if, well, it's a bit tight in terms of the length, but we can make sure our train is comfortably fit here. But if we need to, we can have a little stabling line on either line, so trains can wait out of the way and not backlog everything down here behind them. So let's get on with our signals, and so we want a one-way signal there. I'm going to say we'll put two-way signals here to enable our trains to push forwards, and then let's go ahead and just put our blocking signals in on this stretch of double track. And that's probably a bit short on that one, but we'll live with it. Like this. That's all single track there. Here we're back to double. So let's put a short signal there to clear the junction so things can start pushing forwards from behind if we're waiting. We can get a good number of blocks in down here because the length that we made this passing loop. Yeah, that's fine. And do we want to... Yeah, I think we do. What we'll do is we'll double track both of these tracks after this junction as well. And again, if we can get to 50, that'll be perfect. And yeah, we can get a nice passing loop in here just before we go into this tunnel just here. There we go, 50 miles per hour. Let's put a signal there and one there. And what the heck, we'll put a midpoint block on this one as well. And we'll do something similar on this track here. So we're going to have to stretch this one out quite far to get that 50 mile an hour because we're on a corner, but that's not a problem. There we go, there's 50. And I think I'll double track quite a stretch of this one. In fact, maybe go as far as the bridge and have this nicely double track so we don't have too much slowdown. So here's where we'll come back together just before the level crossing, if it's going to let me. No, not sure why it's being funny about this. There we go. That's better. Let's go ahead with our signals on this big stretch, and again we'll keep a short one there, and then do our regular blocks all the way down. Put another block just here. We're getting close now, so we'll put a signal not there, that's on the wrong side of the tracks. Signal there and a short signal there to clear the junction. Do we want to double track through Wilmington? Probably, possibly, yes. 75, we may as well have this as fast as we can. Straight through the middle of the town, well, on the outskirts of the town more than the middle. And let's have it rejoin at this point here. And that way we can get a good number of blocks in this stretch of passing loop as well. And again, we'll short signal there to clear the junction, and then drop in a couple of blocks through Wilmington. And again, short just to clear. Perfect, and that will work nicely. So theoretically now we can get this train up and running, although saying that we have no way to get from this depot. I suppose they could figure it out and go all the way to the goods factory and then double back on themselves. Let's see if they will figure that out for themselves, shall we? So we're coming from the forge to the goods factory. We're bringing steel, which is a light bluish sort of colour, so we'll go for that. Or do we want to go for a more silver? Maybe that one there. Yeah, we'll go for that one. That way it distinguishes it from the tool colours that we're using for our tool lines. So RC, and this is steel, and we are coming from, how do we want to do Wilmington? WLGT? No, WMGT, Wilmington. Yep, that'll work for me. To Irving. Yeah, IRVG. So at the forge then, we want these to be fully loaded. We don't need to do anything with the what they're actually loading and unloading, because there's no confusion possible. So that should be good enough to get us up and running. So what we're going to have to do now is actually get rid of that signal, because we do want our trains to head out this way this time around. No, not that. Getting a bit excited there. There we go, we want it that way. Right, so let's get a couple of trains. We'll go back to the mogul and we'll have to double head. Cargo, it's the flat cars that we're looking for here. 105 capacity. Let's go a bit more. Maybe can we get to about 150? That'll work. That'll work for me. 2 of them. Don't need more than 2 because it's not the longest track we have in the world. In fact, we might be able to get away with 4, but we'll start with 2 and we'll see how they handle it. So yeah, they can find their way there themselves, so that's great. I was expecting to have to put maybe a connection like this, cutting through here, but turns out we didn't have to do that in the end. Our trucks are giving us a decent steady supply with the looks of it. Coal is on the way. Any iron in there yet? Nope, but here comes our first one. So they're working out quite nicely, which is good to see. So the next thing we want to do is get a train that can bring in the plastic into the goods factory as well. Do we want that long of a trek to be single track? Yeah, why not? It'll be fine. But what we probably want to do is put in a second platform, just so our two services, they're not having to wait around for one another. So let's do that. It's not in there, it's in there, thank you. So we'll put down a second platform, and then we'll have this platform come out. We'll have it come separate for a little while before we connect in like this. If we can get a decent speed on this connection, that'll be fantastic. 56, that's fine. Right, so then what we want, do we have access to the, yes we do, we're going to use this platform, aren't we? That's right, that's already set up, so we should then be able to go new line from the Cedar Rapids chemical plant to the Irving goods factory. We want this to be fully loaded, and then eventually this train will then run on into Knoxville, but for the time being, just to get the ball rolling, we may as well just do it like this, and we'll keep that purple colour. In fact, maybe can we? No, we'll keep that pink colour. It's not quite the same as the bluey purple, the lilac colour here for this plastics icon, but it's close enough. And this is plastic for now. It will change when we get all the way through to Knoxville, but for the time being this is fine. And how did we do Cedar Rapids? Was it CDRD or CDRP? Now that I think about it, I think CDRP is the better option, and that is what we used anyway, so that's fine. So plastic CDRP to IRVG. And as I said, at some point we'll amend this line so it goes through to Knoxville. But again, for the time being, we can get away with it. Didn't want to do that, so what I wanted to do was come down here and buy ourselves a couple of trains. So locos, what should we have? Should I mix it up and go for... Let's stick a Mogul and a Baldwin on this one, just to vary it up a little bit. We want the boxcars. As we can see, they take plastic, and eventually they have the goods, which we're going to utilise to take into Knoxville. And I'm going to go for about 200 metres on this one, 197, and 2 of those. Yeah, it's a good enough rating for me. So these two should be able to find their way onto that line without complaint. No, they can, but they'd have to go all the way through. So before we assign them to the line, let's just go ahead and do... Right, it's going to be very slow. It's too short. That's... Oh no, it's not. We can just squeeze it in. Just like that. So that's going to be slow when they come into the platform, but they're never going to go back that way, so it's not too much of an issue. Right, where's our trains? They're still in the depot. Let's head back over to the depot then. You two come over here so we can see the line, of course. Yeah, you can find your way there. Brilliant. So you should now start producing... I always forget how unique, shall we say, that sound effect is. But yes, we have started to see some plastic being produced at the chemical plant for pickup by our trains when they get down here, so that's great to see. Do we yet have steel? Yes, we do. Not a lot, but I think our iron ore delivery trucks were a little bit delayed, or a little bit behind our coal delivery trucks. I say trucks, they're horse and carts. So yeah, but now they're starting to filter through and space themselves out. If you recall, at the about the halfway point of this episode, we did unlock these steam trucks, so shall we go ahead and replace all of our existing cargo vehicles and upgrade them to engine-driven trucks? I don't know what I was trying to say there. Yes, we shall. So, vehicle manager. So, none of RC, we're not B, we haven't got steam-powered buses or anything yet. This is what we want, all the T's. Now these two carry bricks, so what vehicles do you want there? Well, the flatbeds, so can they take coal? Yes, they can. Can they take food? No, so we don't want our food trucks. They can take grain, so we can pick that line. They can take iron. I believe they can take logs as well. Yes, they can, so we can grab you. They can't pick up machinery. You can go on that line. Can you take steel? Yes. Can you take tools? No. So it is just the steel one that we're doing. And then all of these, a big bulk replace with the steam flatbeds for 8.8 million. There we go. We can hear the hum of the engine now in the background. And then we'll pick up the stragglers. So it was the... No. There we go. It was tools. It was machinery. And food. And I think that was our lot. And you guys will have to use the tarpaulin variant. Okay, let's have a look at these, shall we? Our first... could you class it as a combustion engine if it's a steam boiler? Probably not, I don't know, but anyway, we've moved away from livestock driven or horse driven wagons. Yeah, we're very much entering the modern era now, folks. We have steam trucks. So they're now all replaced. I don't think we had anything to replace our buses with, but I will just check. So back to the top. We've only got the 2 lines at the moment. There we go, those 2, thank you. Passenger, no, it's still the American Stagecoach, and that's the lot. So they'll be replaced as and when we unlock something to replace them with. So that's where we'll end today's episode. What we'll do is we have 2 choices for our cab ride today. We can either go on the steel trains or we can go on the plastics trains. And my initial thoughts are we'll go for the steel trains. I think this is the first one out of the depot with the looks of it. So what I'll do, as always, I'll pause the calendar here so we don't miss any unlocks. I'll accelerate the overall game speed to 4 times. I'll allow this train to get as far as it can do, or let it get to a point where I can reverse its direction. So that'll be this bit of single track here, and then I'll flip it. We'll head back to the steel forge, and then we'll take a ride from the forge, hopefully with a full load, into the goods factory. I'll put a cut in at this point and we'll pick it up just as we're leaving Wilmington Forge. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are now on board. As you can see, we don't quite have a full load, but we've got enough to do just for an outro cab ride. It's not a problem. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode and you are continuing to enjoy the series as a whole. As per, your comments, feedback and suggestions are always more than welcome in the comments down below or over on the Discord channel, whichever suits you most of all. And of course, as has become customary, it's time to say a special thank you to those of you on Patreon. And that's Kylie Brooks and William Smith at time of recording. So thank you very much to the 2 of you. It's greatly appreciated indeed. But for now, all that remains for me to say is, as always, ladies and gentlemen, take very good care of yourselves. It's ta-ta for now.